Hey there, YouTube. Lovely morning in Texas here before we go start class. I got a comment I thought was interesting, a bunch of them, on the video about cleaning the CZ. Previous video just on the channel if you want to go watch it. I have a Glock case here with a CZ in it because some men just want to watch the world burn, I guess. Anyway, this is the gun I'm talking about. Now, this gun, as you might remember, just pulled the extractor out, cleaned behind it, cleaned the gun out real good, and that was after 20,000 rounds. Now, based on my experience with a pistol like this, I'm talking like a Beretta, Tenfolio, CZ, similar design like this, I should be able to shoot 20,000 rounds through it. Every couple thousand rounds, maybe the slide comes off, wipe the crap out of the slide, couple drops of oil if I want the gun to run really well, you know, and just keep shooting. Eventually, it'll get to a point where it starts stovepiping, and then that'll be an indication to me. It's like, okay, the gun needs to be cleaned properly. I have to take the slide off, take the extractor out, clean the gun out, that type of thing. With the way the magazine release is designed on the Shadow 2, that's going to be the same thing. That has to get cleaned out as well. Otherwise, the gun won't drop magazines. So this gun in particular, I think I've had it like in my inventory for almost 2 years or a year and a half, something like that. Shot about 20,000 rounds through it. It's a little bit chilly here in Texas. Cold tends to bring out the best in terms of reliability from the guns. So as I was using this gun for class, like day one, like mags aren't really coming out of the gun when I'm trying to demo, and I'm just like, ooh, I'm gonna have to clean this slide, this mag release. And you know, I knew it. And like during lunch that day, mag release comes out. One of the guys in the class had the tools. I don't even carry the tools with me. One guy's like, okay, we clean out the magazine release. The next day, the gun, boop, little stovepipe, and I'm like, gonna have to clean the extractor too. I mean, makes sense. The magazine release was crudted up pretty bad. Take the optic off, take the plate off, get the extractor out, clean out the slide, take the firing pin out. Yeah, after 20,000 rounds, it was caked up. It needed to be cleaned. But the gun ran like a top right up until that point. And based on my experience, yeah, that's my expectation. So the comment here, hey, wait, did he say 20,000 rounds through before cleaning? Like, yeah, 20,000 rounds before you really, properly clean the gun. And a lot of people, yeah, I mean, and then the other comments are like, we're guys who shoot a lot. The guy says, why are you surprised? Striker guns can go double that. I would never do it, but people do. Yeah, striker fired guns, like a plastic striker fire gun, typically it's going to be way, way better. And I think this is kind of important perspective for people when they get a gun. Like, what do they expect it to do? So here's a Glock factory trigger shoe on this Glock 34. And like, if you buy one of these and start shooting it, you can take it all the way apart and clean it every time you shoot it if you want. You can take the slide off and just wipe out the rails if you want. In my experience, you're not really going to have to do that very much, depending on the type of ammo you're shooting and how dirty it is and all of that. Essentially, you can shoot the gun until it gets so dirty, the slide just kind of slows down in terms of reciprocating. And then you just take the slide off and wipe the crap off and then keep shooting the gun. The hotter the ammo you have, the less of a problem this is going to be. And yeah, that's what I expect from a pistol like this. That's just the way they work. And this is kind of like, you can go back for some perspective. When I was, there was some talk of the Glock Performance trigger lately. I used them for a while, ended up dumping them, that whole thing. If the trigger needs oil, and now I think Glock is saying to clean them or oil them like every 500 rounds or maybe even less. Like, that is a very dramatic change from the way you normally take care of the gun if you're training with it, right? So this Apex trigger on this Glock, for example, I never, again, literally never clean it, and it functions just fine. So why wouldn't I just use this if I wanted a more performance-y trigger? Now, I should say, this is the way I treat the practice guns that I have. If it's a match gun, a duty gun, a carry gun, something like that, you have to take a little bit better care of it. One guy in the CZ video comments, talking about this gun again, he's like, yep, the goo behind the extractor thing is real. I clean it every 3,000 to 5,000 rounds. So yeah, so if this gun was being used for matches and it needed to be perfect, every 3,000 to 5,000 rounds, I would do the same cleaning procedure. That's also kind of an opportunity to inspect the extractor, make sure it's not wearing down, make sure it's not broken, replace it if necessary, yada, yada, because I need for the gun to work. I cannot suffer even one stovepipe with it, you know? And again, like, that's how you can take care of the gun. Here's another example. Rifles. There's a BCM rifle here. I haven't shot one of these out yet, but the way things are going, I think I'm right on track for what most people do. The way Matt Pranka got me shooting rifles, the way he says, take care of this gun, shoot it, go to the range, shoot 500 rounds, whatever, take out the bolt carrier group, wipe it down with an oily cloth, like very thin layer of oil left on it or whatever, put it back in there, and then shoot it the next day. That should be literally, that should be all you do to maintain the gun until you've shot out the barrel. And then at that point, during the rebarreling process, you go over it carefully and inspect parts that are likely to break, that type of thing. Like my experience with the BCM guns I have, they're right on track for that. And that's what I expect. So again, like this returns, like for the arrow guns I'm shooting with the non-chrome line barrels and the bolts that I've shattered for them. I had a roll pin come out of one of them. I didn't think that pin was supposed to come out. Anyway, that's a far different experience than the BCM experience. Why is this relevant? Well, getting a sense for how the guns work, how they hold up over time, what you can do with them, that's going to be an important part of your life if you're training and shooting all the time, because you want to be efficient. Like, I understand a lot of people find joy in cleaning guns, as weird as that sounds. I really don't. Like, I just want to go train with the gun, and I want for it to function properly. And I'll kind of balance, like, how much effort am I willing to put in versus how much sort of problems I'm willing to suffer. So I'll suffer a few problems in order to get out of this like constant like maintenance cycle. And I think to people on YouTube, I think I sound kind of wild with how little I clean the guns. But if you're around people that shoot guns like all the time, my attitudes aren't really that uncommon. Like, there's a lot of people that, like, let's say you work at a place where you get a Glock and you're gonna shoot that hoe all the time, blah 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 blah, and you're training with it and you don't really care. It's just a gun you shoot at work, but you shoot it a lot. It's like, you're probably gonna have a pretty similar opinion as to me. It'll feel like the gun stops working, put it in like a bath of solvent to clean it, or it's like the magazines get full of sand, like don't even take them apart, blow them out with like a compressed air thing, like this type of stuff. There's lots of people that this is how they operate. So anyway, if that sounds weird to you, 20,000 rounds before you really clean it, like, yeah, that is a thing depending on the gun. And if you have and again, this is like kind of a baseline for how these guns function, in my view, the guns that I've kind of pointed to. If you have guns that like don't work that well, they're not as good as that, then you could get a better gun if you wanted.